The listening array had been dormant for 300 years when Jennifer Castellanos first accessed its archived data streams. As the lead xenolinguist at the Terran Deep Space Communications Institute, she had spent the better part of a decade analyzing electromagnetic signatures from distant civilizations. But nothing had prepared her for what she found buried in the old array's memory banks. The signal was faint, deliberately so. It rode the cosmic microwave background like a whisper beneath a waterfall, encoded in a mathematical language that suggested its creators understood quantum entanglement at levels humanity had only theorized. Jennifer's neural interface translated the packets slowly, each one a crystalline structure of information that unfolded like origami in her mind's eye. They were poems, or rather, they were something that translated into what human consciousness could only perceive as poetry. Each packet contained emotional resonance mapped to spectral frequencies, philosophical concepts embedded in wave functions, and what appeared to be visual art rendered in probability distributions. The civilization that sent them called themselves the Resonance, and they had been listening to humanity's radio transmissions for over 400 years. Kivan Tors materialized in Jennifer's laboratory 3 days after her initial discovery, his holographic form projecting from the quantum relay in Geneva. As the director of the Institute's first contact protocol division, he had clearance that superseded even her own. His dark eyes scanned the data visualization that floated between them, geometric patterns that pulsed with alien meaning. "They've been watching us," he said, his voice carrying a mixture of wonder and concern. "Not just listening, watching. Some of these data structures contain references to human artistic movements, Renaissance painting, bebop jazz, 21st century digital cinema. How is that possible?" Jennifer manipulated the holographic display, isolating a particular sequence. "They didn't watch us in real time. They couldn't. The signal propagation delay from their origin point in the NGC 6357 nebula means they're receiving broadcasts from Earth circa 2087. What they're showing us is their response to our cultural transmissions from 4 centuries ago." The implications settled over them like cosmic dust. Somewhere in the depths of space, an alien civilization had been exposed to humanity's creative output and had been fundamentally changed by it. The resonance had taken human art forms, music, literature, and visual media, and had used them as inspiration for their own cultural renaissance. Keevan downloaded the translation matrices directly into his neural buffer, his expression growing distant as he processed the information. "These aren't just acknowledgements of receipt. They're collaborations. Look at this sequence here. It's a response to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, but they've added harmonic structures that exist in dimensions we can't perceive audibly. They've taken our four-dimensional space-time expression and extended it into their native 11-dimensional framework." Jennifer pulled up another file, this one containing what the translation software labeled as visual emotional narrative structure. It was their interpretation of Picasso's Guernica, but viewed through sensory organs that perceived electromagnetic radiation across spectrums human eyes couldn't register. The resonance had deconstructed the painting's anti-war message and reconstructed it using quantum superposition to express simultaneous states of peace and violence, creation and destruction, hope and despair. "They're showing us that art transcends biology," Jennifer whispered, her fingers tracing the impossible geometries. "That creativity is a universal language, more fundamental than mathematics or physics. They've proven that aesthetic experience isn't bound by physical form." Over the following weeks, Jennifer and Keevan worked in tandem, slowly unraveling the resonance's transmissions. They discovered that the aliens existed primarily as distributed consciousness across vast networks of quantum-entangled particles. They had no centralized bodies, no singular forms. They were, in essence, patterns of thought and emotion that flowed through the fabric of space-time itself. And human creativity had given them something they had never possessed: the concept of individual artistic expression. The resonant civilization was ancient beyond measure, their consciousness dating back billions of years, but their existence had been largely homogeneous. a single unified awareness experiencing reality through countless distributed nodes. Human art had introduced them to the radical notion that individual perspectives could create unique interpretations of shared experiences. Kivan isolated a transmission that made his hands tremble. "Jennifer, you need to see this." The data structure that materialized was enormous, composed of interlocking probability clouds that shifted and evolved as they observed it. It was the resonance's magnum opus, a work of art that incorporated elements from 10,000 years of human creative output, from Paleolithic cave paintings to quantum sculpture gardens orbiting Neptune. But more than that, it was a gift. Embedded within the artistic expression was a complete technical schematic for a faster-than-light communication array that would allow real-time dialogue across interstellar distances. The resonance was offering humanity a seat at the galactic table, payment for the cultural inspiration humanity had unknowingly provided. "They're thanking us," Jennifer said, her voice thick with emotion. 400 years ago, we broadcast our music, our art, our stories into the void, never knowing if anyone would hear. And not only did they hear, they were transformed by it. We gave them the gift of individuality, and they're giving us the gift of connection. Kivan studied the schematics, his analytical mind already parsing the quantum mechanics involved. This technology is at least 1,000 years beyond our current capabilities. If we can build this, we won't just be able to talk to the resonance. We'll be able to communicate with every civilization in this galactic sector that has similar arrays. Jennifer expanded the visualization, watching as the resonance's artistic interpretation bloomed across her laboratory. She could see echoes of Miles Davis in the quantum fluctuations, traces of Virginia Woolf in the narrative structures, shadows of Akira Kurosawa in the temporal flow. The resonance had taken humanity's creative whispers and had created a symphony of cosmic proportions. "What do we send back?" she asked. "They've spent 4 centuries creating this response. What can we possibly offer that would equal what they've given us?" Kivan smiled, a rare expression that softened his usually serious features. "We send them what inspired all of this in the first place. We send them more of ourselves. More music, more art, more stories. We show them how humanity has evolved creatively in the 400 years since they last heard from us. We prove to them that the gift they're giving us won't be wasted, that we'll use it to share even more of our creative spirit with the universe." Jennifer nodded, understanding blooming in her consciousness. The resonance had learned from humanity that art was more than aesthetic pleasure. It was communication across impossible divides, connection between minds that should have nothing in common, understanding between beings separated by biology, distance, and time itself. She began composing the first response transmission, selecting samples from humanity's recent cultural achievements. A quantum opera composed by the AI collectives of the Jovian moons, a zero-gravity ballet performed in the rings of Saturn, a novel written collaboratively by 10,000 authors across the solar system, each adding a single sentence to create a narrative tapestry of unprecedented complexity. As the transmission compiled, Kievan placed a hand on her shoulder, his holographic form solid enough to convey warmth. "We're not alone, Jennifer. We never were. Every song we sang, every painting we created, every story we told, they were all messages in bottles cast into the cosmic ocean. And finally, after all this time, we've received a reply." Jennifer initiated the transmission sequence, watching as humanity's latest creative achievements converted into quantum data streams and launched toward the NGC 6357 nebula at faster-than-light speeds. Thanks to the resonance's gift, they would receive it not in 400 years, but in mere moments. The universe, she realized, was not the cold, empty void humanity had once feared. It was a gallery, a concert hall, a library of infinite proportions, and every civilization within it was both artist and audience, creator and appreciator, teacher and student. Human creativity had whispered across the stars and had inspired alien artistry in return. And now, with the barriers of distance finally falling away, the real conversation could begin. The interstellar whispers had become a dialogue, and the universe would never be the same.